What's going on, CFL fam? This is Mr. Josh again, coming to you with another episode of Comic Book Art. Today we're going to talk about dynamic drawing and what does dynamic drawing means inside character drawing. Now, dynamic drawing is a body movement, meaning the person is not standing still. It's action within your drawing, almost like my friend Lionel here that I made. He is in what's called a dynamic pose, which means his body is not just standing still. His arms are moving, his pelvis is twisted, his body is moved. It's like when you're moving your chest differently from your sides. We're going to get into how we're going to draw that today. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we already know how to draw our character from our last class or video. It's, we got our head, we got our body, we got our pelvis, knees, feet. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call a standard pose or a freeze pose, where the person is just standing straight still. Meaning everything from the top of his head down to the bottom of his feet is straightforward. That means that line that goes across the body, through the head, through the chest, and through the pelvis is all one straight line. That is a standard, regular frozen pose, right? That's not dynamic. That's just a standard pose. What we're going to do is we're going to give a little action into our character. So what we're going to do first is, let's start this all over again. We're going to show you the difference. If I'm drawing a dynamic pose, that means my person's head, which is looking this way, straight, my chest can be faced a different direction. That's what gives it movement. So if my head is this and my chest center line is here, that means my shoulder's a little bit more out, and that's where you will see the other shoulder on this side. That means his chest, instead of facing forward, is moved off to the side, out of the camera view, and your head is still facing forward. So if my head is facing this way and my chest is here, that is a dynamic pose because my center line, which is, if I should do it in black, my center line from the face is different from the center line of the body, right, of the chest area. That means if you wanted to keep your pelvis the same way, so you're making your pelvis, so your pelvis line also would be the same as your chest line. Now, if you wanted to make a twist and you didn't want that, we would just erase all this. We would go back and we would change our pelvis, maybe looking the other way. So that pelvis line is now facing this way. That means when your body is here, that means there is a twist that goes around in your body. That means your body is twisting left and right, right? That is dynamic. That's what gives our drawing action inside of it. If we think about, like, let's say one of my favorite superheroes is like a Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man is never standing still. So if we have Spider-Man and his face is looking, let's say we're going to make him go this way. His face is looking this way, but if he's swinging on his vine and we want to make his chest turn the other way, that means his face line is going this way, his chest line is going that way, right? So I'm just going to make this a little lighter because remember, we're always sketching. So sketching is lighter lines. So I just want to make sure. Let's do this all over. Start from scratch. I'm going to do this all over. So we're going to draw our Spider-Man. If that's his head going straight, and I want his body to be turned in an action pose. So let's say he's punching. We're going to make sure that that neck is still here, and the chest line is going to be this way. So we're going to start the chest over here. That chest line is going to be here. That means his arm is all the way over here. And now he has some movement in his body. Okay? That means if we put his pelvis straight, that means Spider-Man's body, when he twists and he turns, and getting ready to punch, that means his body is moving this way. And that happens in anything that you draw, even in running. So we're just going to clear the board. All right. So let's say jumping movement is the same thing that happens with your legs, right? Your pelvis moves separately from your arms, and your chest moves separately from your stomach, and your neck moves separately from your face. So that's all body movement, and everything has a specific line on it, as we can see, right? Your legs have specific lines. Your calves have and your shins have a specific line. Your arm, where your muscles are, is separate from where your elbow is, and your forearm is different from where your hand is, and everything moves, right? Have you ever seen those cool pop lock dancers and they can move every little part of their body? That's because there's always joints that move. And that's dynamic moving. That gives a lot of your character action inside your comic book or inside your comic art in general. Even if you're doing just a single cover and not a whole book, and you want to give your character life and movement, that's what we are doing. We're learning how to dynamically move. And it's as simple as just moving the lines that connect where your head and your chest are. So where your face is looking, and where your chest is pointing, and where your pelvis is pointing, all makes a dynamic movement inside art. Okay? Again, I wish you all well, and I hope that everybody's doing great and healthy. I miss all of you. I haven't seen any of you since the summer. But jumping back into drawing. We're going to just clear this page and start another. What we're going to do is we're going to simplify a quick character drawing. So we're going to think of something like a run, right? So if our character is, in a run, we're going to first draw the head. We're going to draw it running this way. So we always have to figure out which direction we want to go. It's down, it's left, it's right, it's up, it's looking up, like my friend here. Matter of fact, let's forget the run, and let's see, this pose right here is drawn very differently. So we'll go with the character's head goes first, right? As you can see, his line in his face is straight. And then his arm goes up. So he has a powerful arm that's moving all the way up. So that's his shoulder, his elbow, his forearm, and his hand. Right? Remember, we draw light circles so we could go back over later and fix them. So if he is looking this way, if you can see his chest right here is pointing in a different slightly direction. So we're just going to draw the chest line. And we're going to make sure that this curve right here is your rib cage. That's where your ribs are. So wherever your ribs are pointing is where we're going to make that curve. So if his chest is pointing this way, that means his rib cage goes around, always at the center mass, and back to the top. And always make sure that we leave room for a shoulder. Now his hips are different in a different angle than his chest. So we know that his hip is facing a little, as you can see, his hip is facing the same angle as his face, but only his chest is moving. So in that dynamic pose, we will make sure that his hip is forward. So if this is his face, then his hip is the same. So as we can see that this line right here, where his chest is at a curve, meaning it's pointing that way. His face is straight, so it's either looking up or down. And now his hip is in the same direction as his face, right? His leg and his leg. We always have the knee. And for leg drawing and movement, it's always in an angle. So if we had his leg straight, then he's standing straight. But if we bend his leg slightly to the back in just a small angle, that gives the illusion that it is your knees bending and your foot's pointing backwards, right? So we know that this knee is bent and this leg is pointing straight. So we're going to keep this leg straight and then this leg bent so we can see that his leg is bending, right? Same thing with his arm. His arm is not forward all the way out. His arm is tucked into his body, right? As you can see, because he's bending his elbow. Let's put this a little closer. He is bending his elbow here. So we are making sure that we are drawing a bent so we can figure out where the rest of his hand is, and then we'll draw the rest of his body, right? I'm going to make this a little lighter so you can see if this was my sketch. Very light lines. So when we go back over our drawing with our pencil or with our ink, we can figure out where the rest of the body is. So like if this is his arm and his chest right here, and that's his hip, and we're just going back over everything. We know that his chest forms here. That's his chest muscle. That's his shoulder. We always know how to draw the bicep. He has a big claw. So when you're drawing your character, always with the light lines first, so you can get all your blocking in, and then afterwards you can draw all your detail. Okay? We know his muscle goes up here. And that's with any drawing. Let's say if I didn't even want this drawing, and I want to draw something as simple as a cartoon or something smaller. Even in big heads, if I draw a big head or draw something simple like a cartoon character, right? I want to always determine first where my face is pointing. So I'm going to first see if my face is pointing here. I want it to look this way. That means my face is turned at an angle, just like you see me here. I'm not facing you forward like this. It's turned at an angle, so your face is a little pointed in the other direction. Always make the line for where your eyes are, right? And we'll cover face drawing in a minute on another episode. You see? So if my face is looking this way, I want my body, so I want to make sure that I have a neck, and I want my body to face the same direction. So that same curve is looking this way. That's what's called a three-quarter view, or three-quarter view, or three-fourths view. That means your body is turned just a little away from being straight. So again, draw my elbows and my arms real quick. And this is just a simple drawing, so there's not a lot of muscles. If I wanted to draw just like a t-shirt or anything on my character, let's say I want, red's my favorite color. So we're going to draw the neckline, the shoulder. This is where his arm is. This up a bit. Where his arm is. And that's where my shirt is, right there, right? And if I'm going to draw arms, make sure my arms are connecting. That's my elbow. It goes all the way down. Same here. Right, that's my neck. That's my face. This is Mr. Josh, so we'll give him a really good haircut. And always put in Mr. Josh's fantastic beard. It really is fantastic. Okay. So nice. All right, I'm gonna draw my little mustache. Then my hair. I'm wearing a hat. You can't see how messy my hair is right now. And just make sure we finish the face. Nose. Eyes. Maybe give myself some ears. Color this up. Nothing crazy. Just so you can see color. All right. And every time we are drawing is always the first important part. And we'll get into what inking is a little later in another episode. But drawing in pencil is the most important, right? Just remember, always sketching in a pencil, drawing light lines, something that you can erase. I'm using a tablet right now. When I get the setup, I can actually show you what it looks like on paper. So I can show you while I'm drawing on actual paper, so you can see what that looks, what an actual sketch looks like. And please enjoy this video. Take what you learned last time after you have all your characters' drawings and your costume and your powers, and you're really, really thinking of a story. Turn around and start drawing your character in different poses. Maybe draw him flying or running or fighting or jumping or kicking. This is the things that what makes your action poses and your comic book more exciting in the future, other than just people standing there and having a conversation, right? So until next time, I hope everybody stays safe, and I miss you all. Hopefully, we'll see each other again soon. Have a great day.